Okay, so here are the Wilwood brake rotors. I've got those on. The kit is pretty nice the way it bolts in to the stock drum spindles I've got on my 67 Mustang. I love how nice the kit is. I'm not showing, I've already completed this part, but I put in the bearings, got the bearings put in there, got them packed, got this thing pounded on. This was the only pain in the butt part right here, is getting this pounded on there over the packed bearings. But I know that Wilwood makes a brake kit where you screw it on the outside. I'm like, yeah, that would have been nice. This is a little bit messy right now because I've had to take everything apart. So got that nice one on there. Oh, it's so nice. I was hoping to be riding this. I don't know if the camera will pick it up or not, but here's the old, here's my brake line. I had to hook on the old stainless steel brake caliper. See if it'll show that there. So that's the old caliper that I was replacing it with, my old leaky caliper. I had to put that back on because here are the nice Wilwood calipers. Aren't those nice looking? Yeah, the only problem is, as you can see, I had to put towel in there because I'm draining them out. I'm trying to clean out all of the oil. It doesn't, the brake fluid. It doesn't say anywhere on there in the instructions, and I've never had to do this before, but this area, once I put it on and got it all set up, right here where these things connect, where this little joint connected right here, just it didn't leak oil while I was bleeding it, and I had the wife inside pushing the brake pedal, and it actually worked. Everything functioned great. As soon as I put the wheels and tires on, got the car running, the vacuum canister going, and tried to drive, brake pedal was going to the floor, brakes were going down quick. I came out and checked. Of course, I've got brake fluid just dumping out of here. So there's still a little bit, it looks like there's still a little bit of brake fluid in there, so I'm going to have to try and drain a little bit more of that out. So what I'm trying to do now is this piece right here. I'm going to put this Loctite. It doesn't say anywhere in the instructions to do this, so I just had to find this stuff. This is a Loctite thread sealant 545. It's for high pressure systems, hydraulic systems. But on this, of course, on the instructions here, it didn't say this when I ordered it on Amazon. You need to use a Loctite Clean and Prime activator first. So I've got the Clean and Prime activator ordered. I'm going to try to clean the threads off of all of these lines. These lines, I didn't notice any leaking coming from them, but I am going to put the Loctite on these two just to make sure. I do not want to bleed the brakes and have to take this all off again. So trying to drain some more out of there so I can get that old fluid drained out. Squeezing these makes my knuckles pop there. So I get any more of that squeezed out. I think I've got a for the most part drained out of there, but that's where I'm at now. So I'll continue the video as soon as I get the rest of my my activator out and get it cleaned off. Okay, so these have dried overnight now. After putting this this Loctite hydraulic sealer on here. Still not exactly like what came factory. Let's see if the camera will catch that. That's what came from the Wilwood factory right there. Whatever they're putting in this stuff is what I wanted to make sure this was sealed with. So that looks like it dried and hardened on there. Hopefully that's going to be enough to keep this so I do not have to go through this again. I want these brakes to seal. And I don't think I needed to do this. I cleaned that off with the Clean and Prime. I think I'm going to apply a little bit more of that to these guys right here just to make sure. I just don't want to have to go through this process again. So these, I did not see them. I think they've got a much better ability to seal. Without the Loctite, but I just want to make sure. So let's go ahead and attach this guy on there. These seem to get so much tighter and have a more natural seal to them anyway, so I think this is just overkill putting the Loctite on this section, but I'm taking every precaution not to have to take these off again because they're leaking. There we go. There's one guy. Try to keep this stuff from getting on everything. Come on. And once I get this on the car, I am going to check this before I even put the wheels on. I'm going to start the car and push the brakes hard after I get it bled. Okay. Alright, so I think I've got these on pretty tight here. Let's try this one more time with the line wrench. Make sure that looks good. That looks good. Alright. So at least this end is going to be sealed well. This opposite end here, which goes against goes to the hard brake line on the side of the fender there, this wasn't leaking before, and I don't expect it to leak now. It didn't leak with anything else I did, so I think that's going to be good. I think the weak spot was right against the Wilwood caliper, so let's find out. Okay, I got the caliper part ways on. This seemed like it was the magic number of shims to get those brakes completely centered on there. I'm going to try this again since I've already had this on here and already messed with it a little bit. Bottom bolt's already on. Move this in. So what I do is I put this through, so I'm going to hold these shims in place, or these I guess they're just washers. And then I'm going to try to lock that in. There we go. Get it lined up with the hole. Hand tighten both of those guys in. So I'm going to hand tighten both of my caliper bolts there. And then what I can do is stick those brake pads in there, see if they look like they're lined up completely centered on either side with the same amount of space on either side. Then that way I know my shims are correct. And make sure this still spins. If you don't use enough shims on here, these bolts will actually go through and hit this rotor here, and of course then it's not going to spin. You're going to have terrible noise and probably damage to your rotor too if you just left it going like that. So I will, right now as you can see, there's clearance there. There's nothing hitting that, so I don't have to worry about that. I am going to clean this off with brake fluid, or brake cleaner again, just to make sure there's no I did spill a lot of brake fluid. I don't know if the camera can pick all that up, but there's a lot of brake fluid that spilled out when I had that leak. And I've got the old calipers on there just to keep that line from dripping the rest of my brake fluid out. It looks like it still has a little bit of a leak on it there. Yeah, still got a little bit of a leak, so just constant dripping out of there. So kind of a big mess when you put this through and get a leak after you've filled everything back up. So hopefully you don't have to deal with this. Okay, let's see, just to check my clearances here, I've got one of my brake pads. I'm going to slide that in there. And there's the other brake pad. Slide that in there, try not to touch it. I don't want to get it dirty. And I think I'm pretty even on both sides there. I think I've got the right space. Everything I'm looking at is telling me I've got the right amount of space there. Let's see if I can get the light on there and show you. So same amount of wiggle here as I have over here. Maybe a little tiny bit more on this side. I don't know if I can maybe stick another washer in there. Maybe I do need to put one more shim in on that side just to get that. I'll try that out. But there. And then what you do, I don't know if that's enough to worry about though. It's pretty close. This piece came with it, and this sticks through right here to hold these guys. It's a little cotter pin. Hold these guys in place once you get them in there, and that way they don't come out. Kind of interesting setup there. Not used to dealing with something like this in my Jeep, brake projects. So that's how that works. Let's try that out. Okay, that rotor and those pads have been thoroughly sprayed down with brake cleaner and wiped down. So I'm pretty confident that they are good to go without, shouldn't have any more brake fluid or grease on them. Hopefully I don't get any on them in the bleeding process here. Okay, that looks good right there. Stick with that. Okay, so after lots of bleeding, there's 2 bleeder screws on the top, on both the inner and outer side of the caliper rotor there. I bled both of those. Of course, finding somebody to help me bleed the brakes was nearly impossible. Trying to pull somebody away from YouTube and video games long enough to help me bleed the brakes. So what I did is I hooked a tube on there, got my own one-man bleeder system going on there. Those bleeder screws on these calipers are small, 1/4 inch. I only had 1/4 one of those tiny little wrenches available, and it was still too wide to fit on that. But got it bled finally, and let's see if I can get the camera to focus on the inside there. Let's see if I can go in here. It looks like after lots of turning it on and pumping brakes, let's see if we get in there. It is still dry right on the inside line where it's connecting. That's where all the fluid was leaking previously. So far it looks like it's holding up. The hydraulic gasket maker from Loctite appears to be working. My brake pedal's still going to the floor. However, when it goes to the floor, the brakes are completely engaged. So I think it is working at this point. I still haven't test driven it yet, so it works while it's up in the air. Let's see if it works while it's running. Okay, I finally got the Mustang down off the jack stands, and I got the wheels back on there, and let's see if I can get in there tight enough to show you from the back. I took it on a little test drive. Let's see how it looks back there. See if I can get up into that tight area to get into. I am looking right now to see if there's any leaks. I am not seeing any leaks back there, so I think we are good. The car test drove okay. The brakes are still obviously not broken in, so I can feel like I need to break them in, but they're working. That's the important thing. They're working. I feel like I just need to drive and seat those pads into those rotors a little bit, but they're working pretty well so far. No leaks that I can see on either side there, so hopefully this part of the project, getting the old Mustang back on the road, is good. Of course the summer's over now, but by next summer I should be ready to roll with it. So I'm going to take it on another quick test drive, and let's check these brakes out, and I think we're back in business. Alright, gonna drive this bad boy to the gym. Let's go get a little workout in, test the brakes out on the way to and from. If I have any trouble, I will make another video of that. Let's see. Brakes. I got brakes. Yeah.